Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Inspired Messenger Show. I am your host, Mark Porteous. This series is designed to inspire, educate, and motivate you to recognize and share your own divine gifts with the world. We are here to share information, resources, and steps that you can take to improve your personal and your professional life. I feel very blessed to work with amazing mentors and teachers who are aligned with my mission to empower other inspired messengers with the tools and support they need to thrive in their purpose of transforming lives. It's such a huge honor for me to introduce my mentors and colleagues to you. I truly believe that we're all here as messengers. Everyone has a special message to share, including you. And if you're inspired to share that message professionally, then we're here to support you. That's why the Inspired Messengers Network was created. We're a collaborative community of visionary thought leaders and change agents working together to improve lives. So be sure to sign up for our free membership at inspiredmensengersnetwork.com, and there you can access valuable resources to help you and your mission. And you can also like us on Facebook at facebook.com/inspiredmessengers. We truly appreciate you posting your thoughts and your comments in the section right below this video. I myself love to reply to your posts, and our guests love it as well. So please, again, post any questions or comments right below this video. Today I have a very special treat. This will be the very first time that we've had two guests on the same show. Ryan Harris and Jana Beeman are going to share how to build your tribe of raving fans and clients, simple ways to attract only the very best clients for you, why effective heart-centered marketing works better and makes you feel better doing it, plus important tips to help you appreciate your own value so you can get paid what you're really worth. Ryan Harris and Jana Beeman are awesome. You're going to love these guys. They're dedicated to helping you succeed and really put their heart and soul into helping others set up their game and reach more clients to have a bigger impact. And that's really what we're all about here. So Ryan is a former professional copywriter turned business growth and marketing coach for heart-centered entrepreneurs and coaches. Ryan has created numerous multi-million-dollar product launches online as the one-man internet marketing department for high-performance clients. He recently co-created with Jana the ultimate client and income attraction system for coaches program to help heart-centered entrepreneurs find the raving fans who will devour anything they publish or promote. Jana is an international speaker, business, and coach trainer and published author. She's done coaching and business training for several international coaching schools and runs her own business, which we just mentioned, Create Your Dream Practice, business training and coaching for heart-centered entrepreneurs, coaches, and I love this word, wellnesspreneurs, where she helps to clarify vision, create community, and get clients. Hello, Jana and Ryan. How are you?
Hola.
We're doing great.
Wonderful. Welcome to the show. Well, Ryan, just kind of going back through our history, I was thinking about it this morning that you're the very first, in fact, the only person I ever met through Twitter as a partner and who's been a long-time partner of mine. You're the one who introduced me to my first coaching program, and I just feel like I owe a lot of where I am to my connection with you. So I'm really glad to be interviewing you today. And Jana, this is our first time meeting, so I'm really curious to hear a little bit more about you, how you got on this path, and how you guys came together. Who wants to start?
Well, I'll kind of tell you the short version of the story is I got on the path when my ankles were broken down a few years ago. I went to nutrition school, cured my migraines, fixed my ankles, and in the process ended up being a business coach, which is not what I was going to school for. And so I ended up working for several of the different coaching academies and helping other coaches move past the struggle. And I've been a little bit of a LinkedIn geek for a while, and that's how Ryan and I met. As I think he sent a connection request to me, and I replied back with, "Hey, we do the same thing, let's talk." And we were very much in alignment and decided to pool our resources.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, we still haven't actually met in person yet. This is as close as we've gotten as dual video like this. We've been working together for about a year, but haven't actually been in the same city at the same time yet. So go figure.
That's interesting too, because again, when we met, Ryan, you were still living in Orlando, or you were visiting Orlando, and
Visiting. Yeah.
yeah, so we got to meet then, and haven't seen each other face to face since, except for
Right.
like this. Well,
Sure.
that's awesome that again that you guys got to meet through social media, and you guys again do a lot of the same things. One of the words I wrote down, Jana, was alignment, and that's a
Hmm.
huge piece for me, both in being aligned, I think, with my soul purpose and all that stuff, but also being aligned with the partners and the people that I work with. So I love that.
Absolutely. I think when you're not in alignment, it's very hard to really work together in a powerful way. If you don't share the same values, if you don't have the same end goal, then projects are going to take on a life of their own and kind of scatter. And I've tried it in the past. It didn't work well for me, so I look for people that, when we talk, I just know we're feeling the same kind of things and really trying to achieve the same things for our clients.
Well, that was kind of what I was going to ask next. What is it that brings you to alignment? You're talking about your end game. So what
Hmm.
is that you're helping your clients to achieve?
Well, for me personally, I really get to know my client and I listen to what they see as their long-term goal, and then I check in for myself to see what I think it is. And usually what I see is that my vision for them is bigger than theirs. And so I help to activate that energy for them so that they can really play a bigger game and make a bigger impact in the world, because there's so many healers and heart-centered entrepreneurs who really could change the world if they weren't afraid to get out there.
Beautiful. Well, I definitely feel aligned with your message and your work as well. Thank you for being out there doing that. And Ryan, it's interesting too because you come from the marketing background, but it wasn't like the transformational space at all. It was more of the money space, and that's where actually when I first met you, you were doing prosperity work. Tell me how you got into this work in the first place yourself.
Yeah, it's kind of a long story. I'll try to give you the relatively brief version. When I was doing real estate, I started a side business selling ebooks online through ClickBank, I think it was, or something like that, and just sort of started getting my feet wet in information products and just trying to, just create a side stream of income. And I realized in that I needed to study copywriting, and in my real estate business, I knew I needed some really powerful sales letters. So I actually went to hire somebody as a professional copywriter. He was leading a local Glazer Kennedy group in the Phoenix area at the time, and he quoted me like $5,000 for a sales letter. And I thought, wow, that's pretty crazy. That's a lot. And I was always a pretty good writer in school, even though I didn't really pursue it. I thought, yeah, I could probably study this for a couple of weeks and put together a pretty decent sales letter myself. And so I started learning about direct response marketing and copywriting. Eventually, after the real estate market had a big collapse in 2007 here in the USA, I the short version is I eventually got into internet marketing and copywriting, and like you said, I was more in the financial services, currency trading, make money online type of niches, and I started taking on private clients who were we just lost Mark. Take,
I'm still here.
okay. Taking on private clients and doing work for them as a one-man internet marketing department, and I did really well with it, and I, made good money with it. But in my personal life, I was doing a lot of personal development and spirituality and personal growth type stuff, and I was starting to sense this rift between my heart-centeredness, for lack of a better term, and the work that I was doing. And I was okay for a while. I was okay to take the easy, not easy, but the paychecks from that. But at some point I reached the point where I really needed to align those two. So I started shaping my work to really work with people whom I respected and who I thought were wanting to make a bigger impact in the world, and bringing some of that copywriting and internet marketing, like in the trenches experience, but combining that with my fairly broad knowledge of spirituality and trying to fuse those two things together. And it just kind of evolved out of that.
Well, that's exactly kind of what I was looking for, is to see, and because Jana, you talked about your story a little bit, and I'm curious to hear a little bit more. But yeah, it's always interesting to see how our personal lives and our business lives merge together to create us, kind of sharing our message. Jana, you talked about you were doing your own personal healing, and in the process of doing your own personal healing, kind of built your business from that.
Mm-hmm. And I think my personal journey, my struggles with migraine, I was hit by a car when I was 7, had chronic migraines about 25 or so days a month, every month for almost 40 years. And so I started looking at ways to get some relief from the pain. And that started me on my personal development journey. So it was, first it was biofeedback, then it was hypnosis, then it was NLP and EFT and harmony integration and Silva Life and one thing after another. And I always thought if I was going to invest the time to learn about it for myself, I'd go ahead and get certified so I could help other people. And so I use a lot of that in my practice, which is why I focus so much on the fear side and the kind of the hiding, the playing small piece, because so many highly sensitive people, which most creatives and heart-centered people are, have a really hard time being seen.
Mm. Well, and that's very interesting because that kind of leads into my next question was about this thing that you talk about with tribe, building a tribe, tribe marketing. And you talk about the challenge of being seen. It's really hard to build a tribe when you don't want to be seen. Tell us a little bit I'd love to hear a little bit from each of you on what tribe marketing is all about and why that's so important.
Who would you like to go first? Does it matter?
Ryan, why don't you lead off with that because you're the tribe expert.
Okay, well, I don't even remember where I first heard the term, but when I first did, it struck me in a certain way. I thought, wow, a tribe, that sounds pretty cool. What's that all about? And so there's sort of a spiritual component to it and a marketing business, component to it. Simply put, a tribe is just that group of people who are the ones who are in a position, the people who are in a position to really receive your work and benefit from it the most, and who are going to appreciate it the most and love what you do. And obviously, not everyone on the planet is going to love what you do. There is a very small subset of people who it's really going to resonate with. So that is your tribe, and I think it's really important to find it. We'll talk a lot more about that. But one of the big things is I think everybody is here to fulfill a certain purpose. That's why we're incarnated here in the first place. And for most of us, for most heart-centered entrepreneurs, we want our business to be an extension of our hearts, of our purpose. And if that's the case, and if we're doing that, and we are trying to live and express ourselves through our business and reaching people and clients, we just have to face the fact that there is that group of people who are going to love us to death, and some people not so much, no matter how hard we try. And it's important, I think, to put our time and energies and attention on the people who are in a position to really benefit from us, and kind of turn a blind eye to everyone else. So that's just a little piece on what tribes are and what they represent to us.
Mm-hmm. And I totally agree with that. The resonance factor to me is the biggest piece because, we draw in people who are energetically aligned with our beliefs and our way of being and who like the way that we work with them. And those are really the people that we're meant to serve in my book.
And I love that that you just ended that with those are the people that we're meant to serve, because I truly believe that our purpose here is to serve others and to serve ourselves. So the whole personal growth, I think that's one of the things about being a messenger. Both of you talked about all of your own journey in your own healing process, in your own growth, and it's definitely a journey rather than a destination. Where it's not like, okay, you've been through all of this and now you're there, you've arrived, but you're still going through that. With the tribe, I love the word tribe for me, rather than, people can, community is a great word too. I love tribe or community, it's all the same thing, but sometimes people refer to their tribe as their list, and it feels very mechanical. When you talk about resonance, being able to connect, obviously the people that you're here to serve are going to connect more with being part of your tribe than part of your list.
That's true. That's a good distinction. Like, I did a telesummit a few years ago, and I was really happy. It brought in 4,000 people to my list almost, within like 2 weeks. But were all those people in my tribe? Definitely not. I would say of those 4,000, maybe 30 to 50 of them perhaps would fall into that category of my tribe, and over time that's played out. Certain people stayed on the list and stay engaged and eventually engaged me or hired me or joined a group coaching program or something like that, and all the rest haven't. So you just have to recognize there's always going to be a subset of people that you come in contact with who love you, and all the rest just aren't, really. That's just reality, the way I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. And I know you guys have a cool gift that we're going to give anybody who's watching this. You can just click the button below. We'll give out a URL for that in a moment. But I'm curious because, again, you've got this program that's all about attracting clients. And clearly you're very, very heart-centered. That word heart-centered gets thrown around a lot. I certainly connect with it very much. But what does that mean, heart-centered marketing? How do you define what you're doing as being heart-centered?
Well, I can start if you want. The way I look at it is there's all kinds of marketing out there, approaches to marketing and advertising. Some of it feels more authentic than other methods. And so heart-centered market, first of all, heart-centered entrepreneur, I have a very simple definition for that, and it's just someone who does what they do for more than, for reasons other than to make a buck. Certainly to create income is important, and I think we should all thrive financially when doing the work that we love to do. And yes, we want the money, but that's not the only reason we're doing it. It's because we actually want to connect with people and make a difference in people's lives and serve them. So that, to me, is what a heart-centered entrepreneur is. And I think that's where the whole tribe conversation comes back in. If we're going to do a heart-centered approach to our business and we recognize that we're not going to resonate with everyone, then I think it's important to connect with that group of people who are going to love you and then be really authentic. And the cool thing about heart-centered marketing is that, or being heart-centered in marketing, is that when done right, the two things go hand in hand. They actually complement and reinforce each other really well. Because I've found in my personal experience, when I'm willing to be very authentic or vulnerable and share my story, and not just put on the facade of the highly successful guy who's got it, everything's going great. I think the time for that type of persona is kind of over. It resonated for a couple of decades, but I think people can see through it, and I think it's important to show that we're all on a journey, we're all growing, we're all dealing with fears and insecurities and things like that. So when we get really authentic with our message and are willing to be vulnerable, I know in my experience, my list, the people who I'm communicating with, they've responded in much greater quantity and with more passion to the communications of mine that are where I show that vulnerability. And the first couple of times that happened, it really kind of woke me up like, wow, people are just dying for authenticity and for you to be vulnerable. And so I'm trying to, and I know Jana is too, try to bring those two things together where you let your authentic story and both your successes and your failures be told, and that people really resonate with that and they want to generally work with you because you're being real, because you're being authentic. And so the more authentic you are, I find the more effective your marketing becomes, even though you may still be doing it at more of a grassroots level and maybe not on as large of a scale. So those two things I think really enforce each other quite well. Jana, what's your take on that?
Well, I think heart-centered or conscious business owners, most of them, probably at least 95% of them, fall into the highly sensitive category. And, those people were moved by service. We're moved by sharing and connecting and making a difference in people's lives as opposed to just selling something. So, when we talk about the enrollment conversation, for me, it's all about sharing, not selling. It's all about being of service. It's all about really making a deep difference for even the people that we don't feel are a fit to work with us in our program that we might otherwise be offering. So if we're always of service, if we're always looking for that win-win, then that becomes really in alignment for the conscious or the heart-centered entrepreneur. And coaches especially fall into this category, and most coaches really struggle to get going. The numbers are that, less than 2% of coaches worldwide will ever make more than $50,000 a year. And that to me is just not, it doesn't feel right. It seems like we work way too hard to make so little. And so, as we find keys to move us beyond that range, we want to bring other people along with us. And that to me is kind of the difference. It's like we really truly want to help. We want to make a living at the same time, but we really truly want to help.
I see also when you're talking about highly sensitive people, and I think most, especially energetic healers, considered wellnesspreneurs, but definitely coaches, even a lot of authors, most of our audience is highly sensitive or empathetic in a big way. And when it comes to marketing, we get really, like, we can feel the, Ryan was saying, the inauthenticity. And
The
it really,
pushback, yes.
yeah, and I think it turns a lot of people off. So then it makes us not want to market ourselves because we see how other people are showing up. We're like, I don't want to be that. And then that match that with the whole visibility thing about, you know, not really wanting to shine and to show your greatness. It seems like a big challenge for you to address with your clients. Jana, how do you do that? I know you guys have a training program. What's the first step to help people kind of cross that barrier?
Well, for me, a lot of it is leading by example. So I share a lot of my stories with people. I mean, I have always been shy, introverted, socially anxious, and agoraphobic for most of my life. And so I struggle to get out. And yet, when my passion is bigger than my fear, then I go and I do it anyway. And so I share a lot of those stories. There really isn't anything that I won't share with my clients to help them understand that if I can do it, really, literally anybody can. And, you know, for me, it has been a game changer. I mean, my whole life has shifted by stepping into that visible but vulnerable place where I'll tell my most personal stories and the place where the fear's gotten the best of me and where I've gotten stuck and then how I looked for a way around that and so that they can do the same thing. Because whenever I come up with an I can't, like I can't get to that networking group, I can't get out of my car in the parking lot to go in, and I've had those moments, believe me, I always shift to how can I, and I find a solution that works for me. And there's always a solution. There's always a solution to any sticking place.
That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, Jana. And Mark, to answer your question more on the mechanical side of it or the how-to piece of it, Jana and I both start with when it comes to being a better marketer and being attractive to clients, it definitely starts with specialty and specialization, the finding of the tribe. So the first thing we tell all of our clients in our group coaching programs is to narrow your focus. Let's figure out what you're really good at. And as Jana said earlier, when she was doing health coaching, she started specializing in helping people with migraines, and her business really took off the moment she narrowed it down to migraines. And so that's a good example of how to narrow down to a specific focus. And that's the first step. Unfortunately, though, there are fears that do come up with that. People typically think, well, if I narrow my focus and I'm helping a smaller group of people, I'm going to make less money because I'm trying to appeal to fewer people. And while it's true that, yes, you are trying to appeal to fewer people who have a specific issue, then you're kind of ignoring everyone who doesn't have that issue, or at least not intentionally drawing them in. On paper, you would think you'd make less money, but because you're a specialist, the people who do have the issue that you choose to serve and focus on, the resonance factor, your appeal factor for that group is going to go way up. So ultimately, you end up getting hired more often than when you try to be all things to all people and cast a wide net. So the first thing is to get over that fear, pick a specialty, and run with it till either you figure out that it was the right one or maybe you chose wrong, and then you have to back up a little bit and re-choose. But that's okay. Specialists do much better in general in business and make more money and have higher fees and can help people at a deeper level than generalists. So that's the first key to the whole authentic marketing and finding your tribe. It's being willing to go out on a limb and kind of stick your neck out and say, this is the thing I'm passionate about. This is the issue I can help people with right now, and that's what I'm going to focus on.
I think that's very interesting. Go ahead, Jana.
I think the other side of it is that a lot of practitioners want to help everybody without everything because they feel like they have this tool that can really do that. But by talking to everyone, they're really talking to no one, and no one's getting served. So when they really refine their messaging down to one single conversation that happens with one single type of person, then they're really heard in a compelling and heart-centered way, and they can make a difference. Where if they're saying, I help everybody with everything, nobody hears them because nobody wants to be seen as everybody.
That's a very interesting comment, and nobody wants to be seen as everybody.
True. And can I point out, Mark, that when any of us, for Jan and I, for you, I'm sure as well, and anyone listening, when we have a certain issue and we decide it's time to finally solve it or get some help with it, we hop on Google or wherever the case, or Yelp or whatever the case might be, and start looking for some help with it. We tend to search until we find the person that really feels like a match, and then we stop searching. So what's happening for most heart-centered entrepreneurs who are not specializing, because they're saying, I can help men, women, babies, children, senior, they tend to put it all over the place. We might come to their website and consider them for a moment, but then we usually think, I'm going to keep looking, I'll keep searching. And then the moment we get to someone's website where they say, I help people just like you and only people like you and people with your specific issue, and that's what I've devoted my life to, even though that might be a more expensive person to hire, we tend to stop there and get on that person's mailing list or pick up the phone and call their office or whatever the case may be. And we've all done that in our own private lives, so we have to recognize that our prospects are doing that too. So we've got to create a brand and marketing materials that speak to those particular people so that they stop looking once they found our stuff. That's really the goal. For our clients, Jen and I try to help them create marketing materials and bios and about me pages and all that really get people who are in their tribe to stop and take notice, go, wow, look at this. This person is totally different. They're serving people just like me. And we want them to get that excitement. And when you do that, your success isn't too far behind.
And when you're talking about, a lot of people will refer to it as niching, but I liked your word, specialist. Because when you look at a specialist, it increases the value as well. When you just say you're in a niche, then everybody's in a niche. But when you're a specialist, again, it kind of speaks to one of the things that you wanted to address was being able to own your own value, and that's one of my personal values is self-worth. So when you talk about being a specialist, if you're going to go to a heart doctor, you're not going to go to a generalist. You're going to go to a heart doctor, a specialist, and they're going to, like you said, charge more. Because I think that is one of the fears that you addressed, was that when you specialize, that then you're cutting out, you're going to a more narrow market. People will refer to it as niching, but I liked your word, specialist. Because when you look at a specialist, it increases the value as well. When you just say you're in a niche, then everybody's in a niche. But when you're a specialist, again, it kind of speaks to one of the things that you wanted to address was being able to own your own value, and that's one of my personal values is self-worth. So when you talk about being a specialist, if you're going to go to a heart doctor, you're not going to go to a generalist. You're going to go to a heart doctor, a specialist, and they're going to, like you said, charge more. Because I think that is one of the fears that you addressed, was that when you specialize, that then you're cutting out, you're going to a more narrow market. How do you balance that with the self-worth so that people do actually make more money by specializing than generalizing?
Well, I think one of the things with that, Ryan, if you don't mind me jumping in here first, one of the things that I see is that so many people have that deep-seated fear that I don't know enough. And so when they focus on one particular area, they can really become a student of that one particular thing. So for instance, when I was helping everybody with health, I knew a little bit about a lot of things. But when I narrowed down to migraine, I said, okay, so if I'm going to be a migraine specialist, I'm going to know absolutely everything about migraines. And while I had a pretty concentrated area of knowledge to begin with from my own experience, I wanted to broaden that and really become really well-versed in migraine. And so that's what I did. I didn't have to then learn everything about everything, because we can't, right? There's just not enough time in the day. But when you have one particular direction, you can continue to be a student of that, and you can really broaden the depth of your knowledge and become really, really intelligent about that one topic. So then you can really serve people in a deeper way and be way more effective. So that builds your confidence, because the clients you have get results.
Results speak loudly, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, and also let me add to that, or expand on one part, is that if you're too vastly different or too far removed from the people you're trying to help, your message isn't going to resonate with them. And so for the people who might just be looking for solutions in a certain area, if you are a total guru, like let's say someone's just starting in the field of personal development and they bump into Tony Robbins at the mall and they have a conversation, Tony's level might be so high for them that they just feel they might be impressed, but they also might feel really intimidated, like I'm never going to be as
overwhelmed.
Yeah, they'll feel overwhelmed, and then I just can't identify with this guy. He's, godlike to me, and so we have to find people who we resonate with, and that means they can't be too far removed in their advancement. So I like to use analogies, and I like surfing analogies because I do like to surf, even though I live in Boise, Idaho now, where there's only river waves. On the scale of surfing expertise, I may be a 2 out of a 10, right? I'm not a ranked beginner, still maybe a novice, and tons more to learn and skill to obtain. But when I was out in the lineup, surfing, I would see, especially like when I lived in Hawaii, I would see new people come out who could barely, they didn't know how to paddle, know how to stand, didn't know how to read the waves at all. And if they were near me, it's just my nature. I couldn't help but giving them some pointers or some advice. And the idea that you would hold back your knowledge until you get to be a 9 or a 10 on that 1 to 10 scale is kind of ridiculous. No matter how little knowledge we have, as long as we know more than the next guy, that's enough. And you just got to find that person who's that ranked beginner, or just depends on where you're at. But there's always someone who can benefit from your message. And another analogy that I've heard from Bashar is there are no one-sided coins. And I'd like to share this one because he's right. There are no one-sided coins. Every coin has 2 sides. And the way I look at it, for wherever you're at in your life, and based on whatever knowledge you may possess right now, there is another side of the coin. And that other side of the coin is the group of people who can benefit from that work. So I guess what I'm saying is, sort of by definition, in all circumstances, in all cases, there is a group out there, your tribe, who can benefit from wherever you're at now. You've got to recognize that and then be committed to serving them, leading and through service, and trust that your work will find its market and you will find your people eventually, because there are no one-sided coins.
That's an important message that you bring up too about the beginners, and I loved your surfing analogy, because it doesn't matter where you are in life. Jana, when you're going through your wellness growth process, you were learning all of these things, and any one of those could be enough to help somebody else. Anybody who's been through chemotherapy and has survived that knows how to help somebody else who's going through that. They can relate to it, and it kind of goes back to what you guys were saying, that whatever experience you have, that can go to helping somebody else.
Absolutely. And the thing that I found is, when you're really specific about who you serve and how you serve them, then other people will be drawn in as well. So while I was having the migraine conversation, I ended up with a large client base of people who were going through cancer chemo treatment, because I had experience with that as well. And they come to me and say, you were talking about this and this. Do you work with chemo patients? And I'm like, absolutely. So you can choose to broaden who you help based on who comes to you, or you can choose to stay right on point with your exact tribe that you outline. For me, because I did have a broad knowledge and I was working for a naturopath who was a cancer specialist, I felt like serving those people was part of my path as well.
Can I add to that real fast?
Please do.
Jana just raised a good point. If she were marketing herself, let's say we backed up in time, if she had been marketing herself in a way that said, I help migraine people and I help cancer chemo type situations, she probably would have gotten far fewer clients, even though she had theoretically doubled or tripled the number of people she focused on. But the moment she said, I am a migraine specialist, she put herself out there as a leader, and people resonate with that. And there are people, I think, are dying almost literally sometimes for strong leadership, service-oriented leadership. And so now the people, once she said, I'm a migraine expert, people with cancer or going through chemo said, hey, will you work with me? Because they want to work with the leader, even though her specialty was something else. So they started asking her, and as she just said, it gave her the freedom to say yes or no, to take them on as clients or decline it. But it's that taking a leadership position that makes you really attractive to people, even when they might be slightly outside of your tribe. So that's a pretty cool thing.
Absolutely, and you both mentioned things about evolving your audience. So
Mhm.
I know, Ryan, with you, you started off as a prosperity coach, but that's still very much what you're doing now. Now you're helping other coaches gain prosperity, but through a specific way of attracting clients. That's the mode of you helping them to do that. Can you tell us a little bit about first about your bonus and a little bit about how your program works as far as the way that you help your clients, one, with their marketing, but really to kind of give us a big picture of how you do that.
Okay, sure. So briefly on the bonus, it's a training video that's an hour long where we go into more depth than we can on a call like this, where we get into specifics of how to figure out who your tribe is, and then how to engage them in conversation, and then once you have them on the phone or engaged in a conversation, how to present your offerings in a way they're going to have maximum appeal. So we've outlined a process, and we market this mostly for coaches and healers. That's why we call it the Ultimate Client and Income Attraction System for coaches. That is our main audience. And it always starts with finding the tribe. And when Jana and I first connected and we started kicking around ideas about how we could collaborate and maybe do some work together, I said, look, in my experience, almost everyone who's ever tried to hire me didn't have good enough focus or the clarity or that specialty. And she said, yeah, I encounter that too. She agreed with me. So we made this figuring out the tribe the foundation of the whole program. And so we spend a few weeks in our 12-week program going through that, making sure that people have picked a specialty and can articulate it and document it and speak about it in a way where it's clear who they help and what makes them unique. And then we go into a few weeks where we help people with their offerings, because coaches in particular tend to create packages, and maybe they just have one offering, or maybe they customize it, for every new person. But packaging and pricing and naming what you do and how you speak about how your approach to what you do. Like right now, I'm explaining to you an approach where I just said we help people figure out their tribe, then we help them figure out their offerings and their packages, then we look at their brand and their identity and how they're presenting themselves online, and then we get into getting into that conversation with people so that when we do have them on the phone, they do say yes. So there's 4 general broad steps. That is a signature system, basically. So in our second step, we help people figure out their signature system, which they usually have. They usually do have a methodology or a step-by-step process they take people through, but they're not always so great at articulating it and presenting it in a way that's going to be really juicy and exciting to their prospects. So that second step of it's really important, and that's what we take them through. And Jana, if you want to jump in at any point, I don't want to dominate the conversation here. I'm just kind of giving the sort of broad overview of how we help people. And then,
so we do move into the packaging and pricing, and then we take them through the art of the enrollment conversation, which is my little pet area. Ryan's really good at it too. And between the two of us, I think we've really put together just a rock star level enrollment conversation training. And my conversion level is usually up in the 95% range, and I don't know too many coaches who can say that. And Ryan's is way up there as well. So we can really help our coaches that come through the program at least get to 80%, which cuts down on the amount of time you have to spend marketing, and more time than serving the clients that you're meant to serve, right? And then we talk.
When you're talking about enrollment, I had this sense that I thought it was really important. A lot of times, basically, enrollment means sales. You're getting into, you're selling your program, but you do it, I'm sure, in a very authentic way, just the same way that you do with your marketing, where it's not about positioning and tactics so much as connection.
It is, and I feel that the key piece with selling, and I don't really believe in selling, but the key piece in those conversations is to activate the energy of change. And when you activate the energy of change, then you're doing a favor to the person you're talking to, whether they would decide to work with you or not. Because staying where they are is going to get them more of what they have, which is obviously not what they want, or they wouldn't be on the phone with you to begin with. So when you activate that energy of change, then you can give them an option that might be yours, and it might be something from somebody else if they're just not a fit to work with you. But you give them an option so that they can move forward and get out of that stuck place. And so it's not about selling, it's about serving by presenting an option or 2 or 10, if that happens to feel right in the moment, and activating that energy of decision for that person so that they move forward and take a stand for themselves.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. Selling does happen, but it doesn't always have to feel like selling. In fact, if I were to flip my webcam around, you'd see a sign that says selling equals helping. I wanted to get over that stigma of selling. In fact, my father was a salesperson. He was he did, encyclopedias and pots and pans and vacuum cleaners door to door, timeshare for a couple of decades before he passed. He was a really good sales guy, and I didn't really study under him, but my knowledge of my dad is that he was a very service-oriented guy. He was very honest and ethical, and he sold in a way just by being outgoing, friendly, and trying to actually match people's needs to solutions or products. And if they weren't a match, I'm sure he would have said, yeah, this isn't a fit, have a good day. And if it is a fit, he would explain why. And that's really what good selling looks like or feels like. It's just honestly making sure that there is a match, that you can help somebody and they would benefit. And if they are not quite seeing that clearly, or they have objections or something like that, helping them reframe in a way so that they go, oh yes, I can benefit, and I do want to benefit, and I'm going to benefit. And so from an outsider's perspective, yes, maybe a sales process did just take place, but from your own perspective, when you're in the moment, in that conversation, just like right now, it's just explaining, honestly, and that's all it really is. So people, I think, need to get over the stigma of selling, because really nothing happens in the world until something gets sold, and you can do it in a very heart-centered way. It has nothing to do with being pushy or trying to make a buck.
Well, again, I think for empaths, this is especially important because we are so sensitive to the way that we may have been sold in the past, that we want to do it in exactly like you're talking about. And for anybody who's listening to the audio, or not seeing the button right down below where you can download their free gift, you can go to inspiredmessengersnetwork.com/get clients. And we just made it get clients. It's a part of the title of your training program, and you'll actually teach a lot of the actual techniques, because I've been through some of your training, Ryan, where you actually are very, very specific on the steps to take. So people will be able to leave that training from both of you with an action step or a strategy that they can start implementing right away.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and Jan and I, we set the goal. We want to deliver freebies, our training, our gifts, and give people enough information to be dangerous. So that, and I say that affectionately, meaning they will be more effective. They can go out and make a bigger impact just by taking the information that we provide at no charge and run with it. Yes, a certain percentage of people will then say, you know what, I'd like to be stepped through this. I want your objective feedback. I want your guidance. I want your accountability. I want your email templates in some cases, or a coaching call flow. We have outlines for how to conduct a free coaching call so that people are more likely to get to a yes at the end of that conversation. So certainly some people do hire us and engage our group coaching programs because they want that stuff, but at that link for the video, we go into greater depth than we do on this call with some specifics, especially on that call flow. We actually give you the entire big framework or step-by-step process for that in broad terms, and most people find that really helpful. So thank you for sharing that link for us.
Absolutely, and again, you can just go to the button right below the video and download that, or go to inspiredmessengersnetwork.com/get clients. And one of the other things that I was looking for was you talked about value and being able to own your value. That's a part of your program, and you have you stand behind your value, and I didn't know if this is okay to talk about, but you have a very unique selling platform as well, where you actually guarantee results. I think that's just a phenomenal, a new paradigm in being able to provide your service, where they can actually pay you from their results. Can you just at least touch on that, because I think it's very unique?
Yeah, Jana, you want to go first on that?
Sure. Well, one of the things that we thought as we talked about it, and there's so many coaches who have overinvested in coaching that hasn't gotten them anywhere, and we wanted to take all the risk out of that because we know what we're offering is really, really good. And so we basically have said, you don't make money, we don't make money. You can ask for your money back if you pay for it up front, or you can pay from future profits. So we do have a program that's limited to a certain number of people each session, where people can actually sign a contract with us where they pay as they sign up clients, and they just pay us a portion of those proceeds. So we don't get paid until they're making money, and that works really, really well for us because it allows us to put our money where our mouth is.
And for me, that's just like, obviously there's a great confidence in you knowing that this really works, or else you wouldn't be putting that risk out yourself.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. So we call it the future pay option. And yeah, if people aren't getting clients, then we let them off the hook of the contract and they don't have to pay us. So if people don't, get those clients, then we don't get paid at all. So it does force us to step up our game and really make sure we deliver great results. But of course, we have to put a bit of a screening process in that because we have to be a little bit selective. We want to make sure we're working with highly motivated, coaches and healers who really are committed to making an impact in the world. So, it's a collaborative process. But when Jana and I looked around at what people are doing in the industry, and by the way, I sent an email just last week to some of our current and past clients saying, what coaching programs have you invested in the past related to your business, growing your business, and how much did you spend on those? And I can't believe the answers. The list, some people just had a full page list of things they had invested in, many thousands of dollars, dozens, some people invested over $50,000 in personal development and how-to marketing type advice. And a lot of them said, you know what, I haven't gotten a single client from any of this investment. And so Jana and I wanted to set our program apart and say, you know what, this is going to be the program, the last one you need to actually start bringing in money in the door, because other people promise it, but we want to actually deliver it. And if we can't do that, we don't get paid, at least using that future pay option. So it just forces us to step up our game, and we're really excited about the future potential of that option.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a very unique approach, and I'm hoping to see more and more of that in the market. And thank you for being front runners on that new paradigm of selling.
Sure.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Well, and one of the things you mentioned is that as part of that too, you need to be careful about who you invite in, making sure that you're going to get them the results, because you don't want to be working with somebody who's not going to put in the effort, because then you're working for them for free. And even if somebody's paying you full price for all of your services, we don't do this for the money. We want the money, the income, but we want them to get the results. So again, anything that is showing you stepping up your game, I really applaud all of those actions. Thank you.
Yeah, we do a lot of one-on-one time with our clients. We have open line coaching calls so we can walk them through any place where they get stuck. They get one-on-one hour-long sessions, 2 of those per round. And so in a group coaching format, we have given them as much of our one-on-one time as we possibly can. And honestly, I believe that is the biggest game changer out of everything. We're on the Facebook group. We are accessible by email. We're answering questions. We're not letting them stay stuck and in confusion, which is what's happened, when I started taking a whole bunch of training. You find something that just doesn't make sense, and there's no one to ask any questions of. And so you get stuck, and you end up not moving forward. I talk to a lot of coaching students who have taken other programs that they have never finished, and I ask them why, and because I got stuck on something, I didn't really get any feedback, I didn't know what to do about it, and then I was afraid to move forward because I was confused. So we try to make that almost impossible for that to happen in our program.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. There are people out there, and I'm not going to name names or bash anyone, but there's people out there who do charge a lot for their group coaching programs, and you don't actually get them. You get some of their materials and some of their guidance, like recorded webinars. But some people are spending $5,000-$10,000 for a group coaching program, and you can't even ask a question, directly of the person leading it. And I personally don't want to be one of those people where you've got, people running around out there talking about you and your program, saying that you're ineffective, you're overcharging, you're unreachable, you're disconnected from your tribe or your client base. I just don't want to be one of those people, so I'd rather over-deliver and give lots of one-on-one time and personalization, and make a difference for people than to go massive and, you know, perhaps be making $100 million a year. That's just my preference.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, clearly, you've put your money where your mouth is, and a big part of, I think, for both of you is that you set that example. That was one of the things you were saying early on, Jana, is that you lead by example. And I think that's what you're doing here in the marketing. I'm curious if there's, obviously we only have such a short period here. People can sign up for the free training with your bonus gift. What would you say is the first step for somebody who might be working on getting the marketing or anything else, or what would you say, what's the one golden nugget you'd like to leave us with, I guess is what I'm asking.
Can we each share one?
Yes, please.
Okay, Jana, do you want to go first?
Well, I would say probably the most important place to start is to know who you're talking to. Because if you're not talking to a specific person or a very specific type of person, then your messaging is going to get lost out there and it's going to be really ineffective. And also focusing your marketing where those people hang out so that you're not talking to, you know, a group of 20-somethings when your perfect client is maybe in their 50s.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yeah, my nugget is similar. I would say if your marketing isn't effective, stop what you're doing and pause and figure out who your tribe is and figure out that core message, what your core focus is. Because I know in my business, and maybe I'm a little more internet marketing oriented than some, but I have, you know, an autoresponder service and a webinar platform and, you know, all these different back-end services that I'm paying hundreds of dollars a month, you know, my shopping cart and the merchant account and all that stuff to have a functional coaching business. And I see a lot of other people are spending lots of money every month, and it's really being flushed down the toilet if you don't have that core focus. So if you're doing what all these gurus are telling you to do and you're trying to engage marketing and it's just not working, then you're missing something. So my advice is to stop what you're doing, go on pause for just a few weeks, few weeks, step back, ask yourself, do I have a clear tribe, and is it obvious to the people in that tribe that I have the tribe and I'm speaking to them? And if not, get that focus, and then once you have that focus, then you can turn your stuff back on and start re-engaging and reaching out to people. But as long as you're reaching out to people and your message is fuzzy, weak, unfocused, or it's too broad of an audience, you're going to get a limited return on the investment in all those other services. So stop and figure out your tribe. That's my nugget.
It seems like that would be obvious, but I'm really glad that you stated it, because I think so many people, when the marketing's not working, they just do more and more and push harder and harder of the exact same thing that they're doing that's not working.
Or buy new products and hope for a different result. And, you know, that's one of my picky things, is stop with the shiny object syndrome. You know, buying another, you know, plug-in and another new dashboard and another this and another that, it's not going to help if you're not clear. So you have to start with the clarity first and then work your way forward step by step. And that's something that we really do for people. Ryan and I are both really good with the clarity piece and helping people really, you know, perfectly express how they serve people and how they make a difference so that the right people can really hear them and be drawn in.
Beautiful nugget.
Yeah, and let me add, before we even turned on this, you know, Google Hangout, we were talking about new bright shiny objects, right? We're talking about Periscope, and what was the other one? Blab?
Blab, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Those, it can be fun and exciting to have a new bright shiny object, a new marketing tool or toy, but it's only effective when you have that focus, which I think the three of us, you know, do have that focus. So when we find a new platform, we know it's going to be effective. But if you don't have that core focus and your messaging down and your brand and some of those core elements figured out, all the new bright, shiny toys and marketing platforms in the world aren't really going to help.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I do want to be able to make sure that they can reach you directly. We've got the gift up there that everybody can download. What's the best way to reach out to you if they want to connect?
Well, Jana, each have we share a domain name. I'm Ryan at getclientsandincome.com, and Jana can be reached at Jana at getclientsandincome.com. We can share our respective website URLs, but I think as far as getting in touch with us, we're both extremely accessible, so just shooting off an email to either Ryan at or Jana at getclientsandincome.com is probably the most effective way.
Cool. And yeah, if they email you, just put that you learn about them on the Inspired Messengers show. And again, I know that you guys are incredibly heartfelt and very, very available to help people who are ready to make the difference. That was part of the things that you're talking about, making sure that people can actually follow through. So anybody who's ready to take that step, take that action, I will encourage you to reach out to Jana and Ryan. And I would love to thank both of you for being here on the show. I'm really grateful for the work that you're doing and helping other messengers to reach their ideal audience and then to enroll clients, because without enrolling them, they're not going to be able to make the difference in the world that they're here to serve. So thank you both.
And thank you, Mark, for inviting us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely a pleasure to be here and to share what we're doing to the people in the world who can make a difference. And we can definitely see that those are some of the people that are following your teachings.
Yeah.
Thank you both.